What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ryan. This is the DFS 5-Pack. So, by now, we all know basketball is done with for a while. So, we got a little more free time these days to talk about football a little bit more in depth. As I said the other day, we'll have extra members-only videos for paying customers. We'll have extra public videos talking about different types of football. You know, we did our draft with DFS Patriot last night. There's just a lot more to talk about. Obviously, we're on here talking about overlay every single day. So, we'll do some extra videos for the public like this one. And we'll do some extra ones for paying customers. Just have a lot more football we can talk about because there is more free time without basketball running fast and furious. And obviously baseball, unfortunately won't be around that much longer. So it's time to really hone in and focus on the NFL from a DFS perspective. You can play obviously across a variety of sites, but I want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on my Green Bay Packers this weekend. The Showdown slate. I don't know about a lot of you guys. I don't play a lot of these showdowns when they're mixed into a main slate like this. But without the other sports going around and having the ability to kind of dissect these things a little bit further, like I'll probably get some money into this one. One, game of the week. My Packers are playing. You know darn well I'm going to be watching this game every single second of it. I think as a Packer fan, I have, having watched every snap of Green Bay Packer football, 99.9% of snaps of Green Bay Packer football over the last 30 years, I think I got a pretty good, read on the pulse of this team and what I want to do with them and what I want to do against them. So let's get started with the Green Bay Packers and the guys that I'm looking to play this weekend from them. And then we'll go through Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay has a lot of injuries. So we're going to have to talk about a lot more caveats in that one. And then maybe we can even get into a little bit of lineup building as well if we got time for that. All right. As far as the Packers go, oddly enough, they rank these dudes exactly by my priorities. And I want to play 2 of 3 of them, if not all 3. Aaron Rodgers, week off, big game. He can come on the national media and say all that he wants about it's not him against Brady, and it's not. Quite frankly, Tom Brady doesn't play defense, and neither does Aaron Rodgers. But if you're looking for extra motivation, which I don't personally think these guys need, I think that oftentimes gets overblown, but that's just my opinion. These dudes have plenty of motivation to want to win this game without going up once against one another, but I see a big game for Aaron Rodgers here, at least solid game, right? He's been excellent in every game this year. He's been missing his number one weapon throughout most of it. He's barely even had to run, but he can still move a little bit. He cut up Atlanta without any wide receivers. He cut up New Orleans successfully. He was good against Detroit, just didn't need to do anything in the second half, and obviously he was excellent against Minnesota. I'm sure Rodgers will come in with insanely high ownership for all the obvious reasons. If you can get him in the captain spot, I have zero arguments from that. It's also not easy to run on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so expect them to go after this via the passing game. He's one of the front runners for MVP right now. He appears to be in a really good headspace. There's everything to like about Aaron Rodgers this week. I don't think you're sneaking up on anybody by using him, as I'm sure most of you guys can understand. My boy Tay Adams is back this week. Devontae left that Detroit game about halfway through it with a hamstring injury. They have given him extra time off to get healthy. Do I expect it to look more like his Minnesota score or his Detroit score? Probably somewhere in the middle. I feel more comfortable with him this week than I do Aaron Jones, though. And if you want to play Aaron Jones, I have zero arguments with you. I just prefer Devontae Adams. Their price points are not significantly different. But I think Adams is going to get utilized via the short passing game a lot. I'm sure he is hungry as hell to get out there. He appears by every sense of it to be 100% healthy. He said he could have gone back into the Detroit game. They held him out for precautionary reasons, for good reason that week. And then they held him out again. Week off. To me, in my mind, I think he's 100% healthy by everything that I've heard in the local and national media. I have no problems going right after Devontae Adams. Then after that, we got Aaron Jones. I like Aaron Jones. I don't love him. Tampa Bay is one of the best defenses in the league against the run. Let's actually just scroll over to Tampa for a second and kind of talk about that. Where's their defense over here? There we go. You can see their numbers against the run are amazing. Less than 50 yards allowed rushing the past 3 weeks. 82 and 87 the first weeks. Now, they are going to be without one of their major run stuffers on defense, so they're going to be a little bit more susceptible to the run this week. Aaron Jones is also really, really good, as you guys know this. I was a little hard on him this year coming in from a fantasy perspective, not because I don't like Aaron Jones, more like I was just wondering what the thought process was going to be on him. If they're going to utilize A.J. Dillon. Jamal Williams has looked really good. I was wrong. He was right. This is one of those situations we've all been through in our life. I love the fact that I'm wrong here. This is one of my favorite times to be wrong. So Aaron Jones has been really good, and I can understand why Embiid would want to play him. I think Robert Tanyan is a guy that will get next to no love on the slate. So if you want to utilize him from a GPP perspective, I get that. He wouldn't make my main lineup. He wouldn't even come close to making my main lineup. But from a GPP perspective, if you want to focus on more of a mid-tier build, guys caught a bunch of touchdown passes, all in the absence of Tay Adams, mind you. I understand that. He's pretty good. Not great, but he's pretty good. The same thing would go with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. What's funny, and I think this is where a lot of people fail to understand how the Packers want to use him, and I get that. You can't watch every single NFL team. This is the team I watch the closest. Him getting open is a byproduct of Davante Adams being the focal point of the defense. Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones. That's where everybody looks. So Scantling, his numbers went down the second Davante Adams went down. I believe, if I remember correctly, that 41-yard catch against Detroit, which accounted for most of his numbers week 2, even that came with Davante Adams. And if I remember correctly, please don't quote me on that one. I could easily be wrong. I think he's an interesting GPP play. Hit him on a deep play. Again, would never in a million years make my main lineup. But just, as a kind of a thought process. All right, let's move down. Kickers, Mason Crosby is very playable if he fits a build. We'll see where we end up when we go through lineup construction a little bit later on. Jamal Williams, big week the other day against Atlanta. Utilized him a lot in the passing game. I don't think it's crazy that he gets involved in the passing game this week. Far from a priority. For me, this is more like if it just happened to be the dollar amount that I had left. All right, you could probably do worse, but far from a priority. As far as these other wide receivers go, I know we're still without Allen Lazard. So for me, Davante Adams, huge focal point. Valdes-Scantling will be the number 2 wide receiver. And then they're going to use a mixed match of tight ends and these other guys. The other thing is St. Brown might be back this week. So I would encourage you all to watch what they do with these guys. But as it stands right now, it wouldn't be a priority for me to use any of these cheap wide receivers. Doesn't mean they won't get into the mix. I just don't think that there's nobody here I'm going to plan around using. There's nobody I'm going to go out of my way to use. Most of these guys have next to no experience for a reason. If St. Brown plays, he could easily be the number 3 guy. Quite frankly, it's just not a spot I'm looking to go. However, if we scroll down here a little bit further, there's a young man by the name of Tyler Irvin. Let's bring up Mercedes Lewis real quick. Non-participant during Thursday's practice. All right, man. I'm not really looking to use him no matter what. Let's just skip right by. Let's not go there. Tyler Irvin, at the bare minimum, at 200, had a reception in every single game this year. This guy is a big play type of fellow. That's why he's a kick returner. He had 3 rushes the opening week, including a 21-yard one. He did not participate in Wednesday's practice, as you can see right there. However, if he's a go this week, and you want Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, Tom Brady or Mike Evans, all right, man, I understand that. At $200, if he could replicate what he did week 3 against New Orleans for 3.3 points, I'm happy with that. So just watch for his availability. He's another guy, he could definitely get some creative looks. I think you're going to see a mishmash of what the Packers want to do as far as who's on the field outside of the guys that we know about, which are going to be Tay, Scantling, Aaron Jones, little Jamal Williams, Robert Tanyan, guys like Tyler Irvin and Sternberger. They're all going to be mishmashed in there. There's really no way to tell which guys are going to be, the best plays. Sternberger finally showed life in week 3 and then did absolutely nothing in week 4. He should have a part in this game if you're looking for a GPP guy, in the sense that Christ, what's his name? I can't think of the other tight end that they started to use the other week. He's out now. He's on IR. Major injury. He's not even up here anymore. I don't know why that is, but I can't think of his name. So Sternberger, if Mercedes Lewis is out, is another like cheap GPP guy. Don't expect much out of him, but he could see some run on the field. They drafted him, whatever it was, 2019, and they liked him. He was having a problem with the drops. He caught 3 for 3 against New Orleans. So I don't hate this one. Again, be prepared for the 0, but I expect them to utilize the tight ends. And if Mercedes Lewis is out, I can get on board with him at $600 as well. Okay, so we've kind of talked about the Green Bay Packers. Let's take a look at Tampa. So this one is tough to talk about, right? Because we have Evans, Godwin, Fournette, Gronkowski, Scotty Miller, and LaShawn McCoy are all questionable. So where do you want to go here? That's tough. Even if Mike Evans and Godwin play, it sounds like they're both probably not 100%. Godwin has done some limited practicing, but coming off the kind of injury that he has, hamstring, this is a tough roster. And what I mean by that is if Evans and Godwin play and they were both 100% healthy, Godwin is the guy I would want because Jair Alexander, the guy who literally shut out Calvin Ridley the other week, is still one of the more underrated cover corners in the league, in my opinion. And I would expect him to take the outside route with Mike Evans, which would make Godwin the guy that I was interested in. However, I'm sure I'm not the only one here who's been negatively affected by a hamstring injury on one of his DFS players at some point this season. I'm willing to bet most of y'all have been in that boat because it is happening left and right, and those soft tissue injuries always worry me a little bit. So what do you want to do with him? We're going to have to watch the injury reports right here. If Godwin seems like he is good to go in Evans' place, then Godwin is the guy that I'm going to want right here because these guys are both really, really good, but his path to success is going to be a little bit easier. Jair Alexander is way more likely to travel with a guy like Mike Evans than he is to hop down and take, plays in the slot with a guy like Chris Godwin. It doesn't mean they don't get creative and do that from time to time. It doesn't mean Godwin doesn't run some of his routes from the outside. It's just saying that is the more likely scenario. What about Rojo? Well, I like Rojo. Dropping a lot of passes. That is part of it. Back-to-back weeks with 100 yards. He's been solid. He's been good. However, if we talk about the Packers defense right here, let's scroll on there and take a look at them. You can see they have given up a mediocre amount of yards to the rushing attack. New Orleans had Alvin Kamara. Atlanta was from behind, so they couldn't run. Detroit was far behind, so they couldn't run. They were pretty good against Minnesota week 1. Outside of the 134 yards, I like the run defense. The big thing that the Packers have coming back this week is Kenny Clark, their interior defensive lineman, who is a flat-out stud, has been out since at some point of week 2, I believe it was. I don't remember if he was started that game and left, but he hasn't played in a while. He practiced in full the other day. He's back this week. I guess I haven't officially heard he's back, but he's going to be playing this week in a big game, which means that they are going to be a little bit stronger against the run. So my desire to use a guy like Ronald Jones also has a lot to do with what's the availability of Leonard Fournette. Limited participant in Thursday practice. Keyshawn Vaughn is also back. He left. We talked about him the other week against Chicago. And he left that game. He got lit up on that play where he fumbled. I can't even fault him for that fumble. He got flat out just crushed by the Chicago Bears. So it sounds like he's going to be back this week. Shady McCoy may be back. If every running back is available, I still think Ronald Jones enters the week as their number 1 guy. But I feel like you run into a situation like if they get behind, then a guy like Shady McCoy or Keyshawn Vaughn comes into the game. Or Leonard Fournette. Ronald Jones has been okay in the passing game, but he's dropping a lot of passes. Green Bay is really good in the first quarter under the entire Matt LaFleur era. So it's not crazy to think that the Packers get up in this game and one of these guys comes in a little bit more. So I don't love Ronald Jones unless we run into a situation where Fournette and McCoy are both out, in which case I think you can look at Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn. I think I would like Keyshawn Vaughn even more because it would offer me some premier salaries cap savings, and I would like that. Now, as far as the wide receivers go, it's really difficult to speak without knowing who's going to be out there this week. I think Scotty Miller is a guy that was limited at Thursday's practice. Seems to be the healthiest of the Bucs available wide receivers. That's a guy I can definitely get on board with. He's a guy I feel like the Packers will have trouble covering down in the slot. I don't like the way that their corners match up with him. Unfortunately, the only week I was big on him, he dropped a touchdown and he was bad. But other than that, this guy's been solid, throughout. They got another guy down here with Watson. Only 1K. Like, if Godwin remains out, I mean, give me Justin Watson at 1K. No doubt about it. And that's the kind of player that's going to allow you to, like, captain Aaron Rodgers, get Devontae Adams, and have plenty of places to go outside of that. And then the other guy that I like plenty this week under any situation is going to be Cameron Brate. Rob Gronkowski is another guy limited in practice. We expect him to play. There's been really nothing impressive about one of my all-time favorite players, Rob Gronkowski, this year. But at substantially less money, Tom Brady has been itching to get Cameron Brate on the field more. He's quoted as saying that. And with O.J. Howard out for the year, I like Cameron Brate plenty in this situation. He's a guy I can absolutely get on board with. And if you like Gronk better, do your thing. But I like the salary cap savings that we get from a guy like Cameron Brate right here, plenty. And then there is possibilities. Like, if they're missing a bunch of guys, this Tyler Johnson kid looked good the other day. Now, I think they're going to get a bunch of guys back, so I wouldn't use him. But hypothetically, if all of a sudden, like, a bunch of these guys weren't playing, I like this kid. I don't think that's a realistic situation that we're going to want to talk about right here because, one, we already know Watson's back. We assume Evans is going to play through injury like he did before. Good chance Godwin comes back, Scotty Miller's back. Like, it's very unlikely that he's going to get a spot on the field. So if we combine these and we're looking at roster construction throughout the week, and let's just make things as difficult on ourselves to start. Let's put Aaron Rodgers in the captain, grab Devontae Adams, and then wondering, like, where is it that we're going to go from right here? What happens if we get Aaron Jones? This can be done. And there's also a realistic situation. You could get all three guys, the entire pecking order of the Green Bay Packers. And if Mike Evans and Godwin are both playing, and you got Jair Alexander all over a banged-up Mike Evans, you got Godwin in there, but you're a little hesitant to play him, hasn't had a lot of experience. And as much as I like Chris Godwin, he just hasn't played a lot with Tom Brady. He was fine in the first 2 weeks, but I don't know if you have to go here with the injury risk. Again, I'm interested. I'm just saying, like, if you want to take out Aaron Jones and go there, I get it. We're going to have to wait on the health of him a little bit more. But let's say we find out, like, the other running backs just aren't available. And it's just Keyshawn Vaughn and, like, McCoy and Fournette are both out. Where is he? $200? Where would we get them? 3,100? I don't really like what we have left there. So this might be a situation where, let's just say hypothetically, you take Tom Brady out and go with Chris Godwin. I like a commentary piece like a Cameron Brate, like right there, a lot more. So that would be a situation where I could see something like that working. However, we have no idea exactly how the running back situation is going to break out. So we'll have to wait on that one just a little bit more. If we get a bunch of good information, I have an opportunity to do a second video like this. Hey, man, we're going to be talking a lot of NFL while we are low on our sports. We want to offer you guys, the public, and also our paying customers as much premium information as we can. Going to be watching a ton of NFL, going to be watching more NFL videos. Just like there's a lot more time to research this stuff. Watson's the guy. Again, he's had a role this year. And depending on who's in and who's out, I mean, he could be a prime guy to make your lineup. Again, we got to wait a while to find out about this, unfortunately. But, like, Watson, Tom Brady, what do we got at 2,000? Yeah, there's really nobody in that price point that you're going to be too excited about. And that's, like, the other thing. Like, what happens if I had Watson and I was able to get up to Godwin, for example? Where does that bring me? 3,900? Gets me a kicker. It gets me a guy like Mason Crosby with a nice floor. I wish it could get me up to Scotty Miller. Let's pretend Godwin's out. And we went Watson-Miller, though. And if the question is Miller or Brate, it's going to depend on the availability of Chris Godwin right here. But, I mean, ultimately, I guess I'm probably going to prefer Scotty Miller over Cameron Brate. 8,300. I mean, that gets me Ronald Jones. This might be a situation. Let's try this. No, because you're only getting up to Godwin, and I probably don't want to double up on Watson Miller. Is there a way to get up to Tom Brady? What happens if I captain Aaron Jones, which is probably not something I really want to do, actually. I still can't get to Tom Brady anyway. Yeah. And it's a struggle to captain either of these big money wide receivers from Tampa Bay because, quite frankly, they're not healthy. Mike Evans is a stud. He is a monster red zone focal point of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if Godwin plays and he's got Jair Alexander coverage all over him, like, do I want to play a banged up Mike Evans? He says he's healthier, but it sounds like he has a lingering injury that's going to affect him for a good portion of this year. He's not going to practice a whole bunch. He's a stud and he's a red zone beast, but that's a tough roster in the captain position, knowing that he's not 100%. And I'm just as happy with Devontae Adams and the captain as Aaron Rodgers. I like them both. I think they're both going to have great weeks in the PPR format like this. So do whatever you need to do there. I mean, I guess ultimately I'd prefer to have Aaron Rodgers, but if like the $600 difference made it for you, I can completely understand getting on board into a situation like this. So again, I don't want to spend too much time on roster construction because until we find out about the health of these wide receivers and Leonard Fournette and Rob Gronkowski, Scotty Miller and everything like that, it's going to be difficult. And the one guy I'd watch out for is St. Brown. Like, he could be a wild card. Hasn't played in a couple years, so it would be more GPP than anything for me. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting and fun game. And again, if I have an opportunity and we get better, like, information, I mean, I don't have a life. I might drop another one of these Saturday night if we get the ability to do that. So that's it. That's me rambling on long enough. Good luck, everybody, this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.